Hello everyone. Today I'm going to share with you the successful cross-cultural management. And this presentation is based on the Hire in Japan case study. Now, before we move on to the presentation, I would like to walk you through the content of our presentation today. So I'm going to first talk about Hire. I will give you a brief introduction of the company itself, and then we will move on to the Hire in Japan case study, and then we're going to talk about the analysis based on the case study, and later we will come to a conclusion. And now I would like to briefly introduce you the Hire company. So Hire was established in 1984 by Zhang Ruimin, the founder and also the CEO of Hire. Hire is now the world's #1 major home appliance brand, as ranked by the Euromonitor International 2014. It is also a global leader in consumer electronics. Hire company employs more than 70,000 people around the world and distributes products in more than 100 countries and regions. And in 2014, its global revenue reaches $32.1 billion. Since Hire's establishment, it has experienced a 4-stage development: brand building, diversification, internationalization, and developing a global brand. And the Hire in Japan case study that I'm going to talk about today happened during the 3rd stage in 2011. Hire Japan project is executed by another key role in the Hire team, and his name is Du Jingguo. Du is the current president of Hire Asia International, also known as HAI. Hire first established an alliance with a strong Japanese home appliance company called Sanyo Corporate, later acquired by Hire. Hire succeeded in expanding its market into Japan by first utilizing the well-developed distribution channel and partnership of Sanyo, and then they provide quality home appliances to the Japanese customers. Actually, from an outsider point of view, Japan and China are very similar to each other considering their geographic vicinity. However, there is a huge gap between their cultural and business practices. In Japan, regardless of the types of industry, people respected power. Or in other words, the power distance between the leader and his or her subordinates is very high. Japanese employees willingly accept the unequal distribution of power within an organization. This distinctive national culture in Japan is infused in organizational culture to a large extent, and this results in a less effective communicating environment where employees do not express their feelings openly to their superiors. Such a lack of communication within Hire concerns the leadership. And secondly, Japan is known as a collectivist culture. The Japanese people believe that everyone should work as a group and receive rewards or punishments regardless of individual merits. Also, promotion within organization is based on seniority instead of individual value. And these national culture affected ideas contradict what is valued in Hire. Hire has always been implementing merit-based rewards and promotion, where employees' performance assessment is determined by the user value created instead of the completion of the work. And people receive incentives based on their relation to the market rather than the internally determined targets. Those who get promoted are the employees who have proved their values to the market and to the organization as a whole. And this strategy has been practiced in Hire since the beginning. And actually, this is also called individual goal combination mechanism. Such values in Hire leave its Japanese division shrinking in size of the workers and demoralizing some of the senior employees who have worked in Sanyo for decades. Do, as the head of HII, has the responsibility to solve the issues and develop the Higher Japan project. Do is superbly experienced in the Japanese language, customs, and business practices. Therefore, in the pursuit of bridging the cultural differences within Higher, he follows three guiding principles: respecting Japanese culture, integrating Higher culture, and shaping a unique local culture of Higher in Japan. So, following the guiding principles, Do has come up with the following solutions in dealing with the cross-cultural management issues. So, as we all know, power is highly respected in Japan, which makes the conversation between Do and other employees less productive. So, the solution that Do comes up with is to divide the 160 employees into 16 groups of 10 and have drinks and dinners with them during weekends once in a while. After 2 years, employees gradually feel more comfortable talking to their chief leader about how they personally feel about certain ideas or practices that are not compatible within the Japanese market. Even though Do pays the price of getting gastric ulcer, he's still pleased to see an open environment within Higher in Japan. Knowing how deep the collective's culture is rooted in Japan, Do comes up with a bold solution for the merit-based rewards versus seniority-based rewards tension, which is to allocate 60% of the bonuses from Higher in China and reward the Japanese employees who excel in their work and create value for Higher in Japan regardless of their age. Besides, Do also makes the seniority-based promotion into a new version, where he publicizes the performance of a qualified candidate despite of his or her age, and after promote him or her to the directing post, Do would form a group of responsible directors, and they are chosen from the senior employees so that they won't feel that they are ignored or unrecognized. And the last solution that Do came up with is the social media. By utilizing social media, actually he maximized the satisfaction level of the employees. And the social media also linked the Higher employees closely to each other, both from China and Japan, and satisfied their specific needs with immediate response and solutions. Now move on to the analysis of the case study. Dowling wrote in his International Human Resource Management that differences between domestic and international staff management are as follows: more human resource activities, the need for a broader perspective, more involvement in employees' personal lives, changes in emphasis as the workforce mix of expatriates and local varies, risk exposures, and broader external influences. In fact, the factors mentioned above are witnessed in any cross-cultural staff management situations, so is in Higher in Japan. Since the beginning of Higher in Japan project, the tension between the two sides is intense. Higher made a risky move to enter the Japanese market because Japan is known for its electronic manufacturers. Whether the Japanese customers are willing to buy a foreign brand is one of the major concerns. To address this concern, Haier acquired Sanyo, a local home appliance giant, and utilized their advantage to enter the market. After the acquisition and eased into the market, Haier encountered another major issue in staff management. The previous Sanyo employees felt left out or no longer belonged to the company that they have worked for decades. Also, in the meantime, more external factors need to take into consideration. The political, economic, and social forces in Japan are all linked to the survival of Haier in Japan. Another interesting notion stated by Aaron Mayer in his When Culture Doesn't Translate article said that as companies internationalize, their employees become geographically dispersed and lose their shared assumptions and norms. People in different countries react to inputs differently, communicate differently, and make decisions differently. Organically grown corporate cultures that are long taken for granted begin to break down. It is true that the original values long held in Hire has been changed slightly in the Hire in Japan project. So Do has stated at the very beginning that there are three guiding principles to follow when dealing with the project. First, respecting the Japanese culture. Second, integrating Hire culture. And third, shaping a unique local culture of Hire in Japan. If the Japanese employees are not willing to communicate with their supervisors, then create events or activities where they can sit down and talk. If the Japanese employees are resistant to the merit-based reward system, then create a responsible director group for those seniors, and then promote the young employees at the same time to ensure the fair treatment. Also, as Neely stated in the Global Teams That Work article, that when geographically dispersed team members perceive a power imbalance, they often come to feel that there are in-groups and out-groups. And actually, this is the reason why that after the acquisition of Sanyo, 1/3 of the old employees left the company, because they no longer felt a sense of belonging in Hire. Even though the factories are still the same, the co-workers are still the same, they feel like they are not working for the same company anymore. And the employees always call the supervisors our Chinese boss or the Chinese team, instead of our boss or our team. The connection between employees and the leadership is very, very thin and fragile. Building trust and connection in cross-cultural organization is extremely hard. For Hire's foreseeable future, cultural difference will still be playing in its course of internationalization. Yet no matter how the marketplace changes, as long as the Hire places the customer's interest in the priority and focuses on the quality control, Hire is positive to succeed in their future internationalization. And that's all for my presentation. Thank you for your attention.